So this one here is a woolly bead head. Hey campers, George here, and it's that time of the season where the seasons are now getting ready to change. We're coming out of winter, coming into spring, and then of course summer. You know what that means, right? Fishing season. And as you all know, I like to fly fish, and if you've been watching my channel, you've seen my really poor attempts at it, but I persist, so what can I tell you? Anyway, my point of this video is I needed to go through my fishing stuff, get ready for the season. I want to make sure I have everything I need, service my reels, clean up my rods, clean off my fly line, that sort of thing. It's the new season, getting your fishing stuff out, your camping stuff, anything else. You need to go through it, check it out, get it all ready, polished, shiny, and all that good stuff so that you can just pick up and go and not have to worry about, do I have this or do I have that? Did I do this? Did I do that? Why I fly fish. And there are a number of reasons. I did the regular bait fishing and lure casting for bass, that sort of thing. I kind of got bored with it and came across some fly fishing information, and I thought, you know, that's something I always wanted to try. So I dashed down to the local store. I went and bought myself a very basic fly fishing combo. Let me tell you the horror. That'll work. That's not a good way to start. It was really inexpensive. I think it cost me like 40 bucks. And I put it all together. I went down to the local pond and I really struggled. I was, going back and forth, like it's the line would extend about 3 inches every time. It was a disaster. But I persisted and kept at it, and I went fishing one day. We were up in Northern California visiting some relatives, and I went to a local pond down there. There was a lake, I can remember, it was called Blue Lake, and it was up in the mountains, small, tiny little lake, but I'd heard that it had a lot of fish in it and it was great for fly fishing, so I thought, well, I'm a fly fisherman, I've got to go there. So I took my comber out there, and there I was, splashing about and flicking back and forth and getting nowhere. And this elderly gentleman comes strolling up with his fly rod, and he looks at me, shakes his head, pulls out his kit, back, forth, and he was like 40 feet out. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, how does that happen? Well, eventually we got talking, and he said to me, you're doing it all wrong. And he gave me some very basic tips. And from that day on, I was hooked. It still wasn't perfect because of the fly setup, but it worked and it got me hooked. I literally got rid of every other fishing piece of equipment I had. I'm still terrible at it, but I persist, and I'm getting better, and I still watch videos and everything, and I've spent a little bit more money on my equipment, and that's what we're going to get into next, just what my basics are that I have with me. And So like I said, I don't have much in the way. I own 3 fishing rods, fly fishing rods, and 2 reels. That's it. And the range of rods are a 3 weight, a 5 weight, and a 7 weight. Actually, I think it's 2 of them are Sage fly fishing rods, which I consider probably the best on the market. You pay for them, they are pricey, but for what you get, they are magnificent. The other one I have is I have a Cabelas LSI, which I got recently because I had one previously and I broke it, and I'll put a link up here to the videos and see what happened. I broke it locally here not too long ago. The reason I will always own one of the Cabelas is this simple thing that they did for me. And that was when I broke my rod, I'd had it for a good 2 years at least. And stupid mistake, I caught a big fish on a little rod. It was a 3 weight 4-piece traveling rod that I had. It's actually the model before the LSI, and I'd caught this big fish. I don't even know what a dogfish, or I don't even know what it's called. No problem. I went to Cabelas, walked in, said my rod broke, and the young lady there said no problem, go get another one. So when I went there, looked around and discovered that they no longer made that model, came back and said, well, you don't have the model. She said, well, what is it? Gave me the replacement version, went back, found it. Guy got it for me, brought it back to the counter. Here it is. This is the Cabelas LSI. It's a 4-piece, 9-foot, 3-weight fly rod. And I really am getting into this one. I'd never used a 3-weight before. I a couple of times on my other one, and then when I got the 3-weight, this one actually, the action on it is even better than the model previously they replaced. So I like that, and I like fishing light. But I do have my Sage, my original first true fly rod setup that I bought, and that's another story, that one. Anyway, so this is my LSI. It's the 903-4, which means it's a 9-foot, 3-weight, 4-piece. And if you look here, you can see it there. And great rod. Love this thing. And you've seen me use it, and I'll post some pictures about that. This is the one that is still probably the best rod I own, and it's a Sage. Like I said, it was the first original fly rod, true fly rod setup I ever bought. And this is the DS2 590 5-weight 9-foot 2-piece. It's 3 1/4 ounces, and the action on this taught me how to cast in fly fishing. It made my life that much more easier. I got it at a local fly shop in San Diego, and if I can find it, the guy sold me this and a Galvin reel, another top of the line piece. And this is my Galvin, you can see there. And these two, when put together, you can't beat them. You know, I can hand this over to somebody who's never fly fished before, spend 5 minutes with them, and they'll be casting like a hero. It's perfectly balanced, and it allows you to get some real distance, the accuracy, the action on it. Even for a 5-weight, you know, the small fish even feel great, which is another reason I fly fish. So that's my Galvin and my Sage. The third rod I own is another Sage, and this is one that I picked up. It was a bargain. I believe it was at Cabelas in their bargain cave. It's a 4-piece 5-weight Sage. A little disappointed in it. The action is a lot stiffer, way stiffer than my original Sage that I got. The other reel that I own is a G-Loomis reel. You can see it comes in a nice little pouch. It is the Venture 3-weight, designed for 3-weight, and it's a pretty reel, all gold and shiny, and yeah, I know. I got my 3-weight. I put this on, and it's a perfect match. It balances great with my Cabelas LSI, so that works for me even better. The nice thing I have about all these different weights is I can put different fly lines on them and use one for, you know, a sinking line and a floating line, and it gives me a couple of options. The big thing is that this Cabelas is pretty small. It's not, you know, 4-piece for traveling. It's perfect. It also goes on my day pack perfectly. I can strap it to the back of my day pack and throw a couple of things in there, and off I go on a walkabout and fish, which I will be doing this summer again. Woohoo! So that's what we'll talk about next, is what I take when I go fishing. One thing I do have, and that is a carry-all. It's a sling over bag, and my fly rods in their tubes fit in there perfect, and it's got 2 pouches on it, and I can put everything I need in those pouches and throw them in the back of my truck, and they're always with me, and I've got everything I need should I come across some water that needs to be fished. The other thing, obviously, when you go fly fishing is you need flies. You need all the accessories that go along with fly fishing, like clippers, tippet, leaders. The main thing that I carry with me is I make sure I have flies, I have clippers, the little nips, whatever you want to call them. I have a flashlight, and I have a fly box with the flies that I'm gonna be using, and I have a couple of them. Okay, I have a lot of them, but I try to put my flies in different boxes so that I can just grab a box knowing that where I'm going and what I'm going to be fishing for is in that box. And that's what I'm doing right now, preparing for my fishing. And part of that preparation is making sure all the flies are in the right boxes and where they should be, which takes a while. The gear I use to carry my fly fishing stuff when I'm fishing. And I have 2. I have this pouch, and they both really are chest pouches. This sits on my chest, goes over, it's like a sling pouch, comes across, and it sits there like that. And in here, in this pouch, there's a couple of little pockets and front pockets on it, and it allows me to put my flies in there, stuff I need to get to right away when I'm fishing, and it's right there on my chest in front of me right there. On the back, the nice thing it does have is a little pouch on there, and you can put a water bottle in there or a water pouch, and you know, it's for your hydration, that sort of thing. It's a fairly big pouch, and I put a snack in there, something to drink, that sort of thing. The nice thing is it has these little clips on the back, and these clips allow me to clip my fly rod to the back here when it's still in its tube, and I can walk off with it, and it's really designed for when I'm going walking. I'm going to spend a whole day out there, and I need a couple of extra things like you know, food or snacks, that sort of thing. So that's what this pouch is for, and you know, it goes over, it has the clip on down at the bottom, and it's a Patagonia is the guys that make it, so there you can see it there. I've had this for a long time. It's one of the very first ones I bought. I tried a fishing vest, and I still have one. I just don't use it. It just doesn't work for me. I tried different ones and could never get them to really work that well for me. On these pouches, I clip the things that I need. Typically, the things that, you know, you need your clippers, and you know, I have a flashlight and things like that I have in there, easily available to me, and I'll show you on my other pouch. So this is my Patagonia, bigger one. I use for longer fishing trips where I'm going to be walking away from my truck or whatever, and I plan on walking downriver, upriver, whatever, and I can just carry more with it. It's one I've had the longest. It's been pretty beat up, and it still works great. Patagonia. The other one I have, which is the one you've probably seen me use more often, and that is, it's just a simple, small chest pack. And this one I got from Orvis, another good fly fishing company, by the way. They specialize in fly fishing, and they have some great stuff. Some of it is a little pricey, but they will have everything, and I mean everything you'll ever need if you want to go fly fishing. So right now attached to it I have my net, which attaches to it, and it simply goes over like this and straps around the back and sits on my chest here. And that's a very basic pouch. Inside, just one big opening with a little slide slot in it and a little mesh pad in the front. You can see I have my clippers attached there, and my scissors are somewhere right here on a little extension job here. I don't even know what they call these things, which has my scissors on there, and then I have a fish grabber. So it's very small, very compact, and this is what I would take with me when a truck is right there, slip this on, walk down to the water, can start fishing. It has everything I need in it. Nice, comfortable, keeps out of the way, the line doesn't get caught on and everything. Really like it. And like I said, I got this one at Orbis. So those are the two pouches I use when I go fishing, and typically they can carry everything I need for whatever situation I'm in. Obviously it depends on what I'm doing. And in here I have some stuff. I have some lime butter. The other thing I have is real butter. Not real butter, real as in R-E-E-L, for my fly reels. And it's a grease basically, and it's used to grease up my reels, the little gears inside and everything like that. I have a couple of different kinds. This is a synthetic from Penn, real oil, and here's a pad that you can use for your fly line. So you can see it there, and you put your fly line and you just hold it and pull your fly line through and clean it off. So this is the stuff I'm going to be using right now, and I got everything out, and I thought while I was doing that I'd get all my stuff out and get everything ready while I clean my fly lines and my reels and service them and that sort of thing. So that's my little maintenance. My other fly boxes are definitely fly boxes. They're designed for fly boxes, and you can see here this is a fly box that I don't use very much now. One of the reasons is as you know, when I was in California, I lived in San Diego, and I did a lot of fishing at the shore. I did a lot of shore fishing just at the beach, and these are the types of flies that I would use. They got lead heads, well, not lead, whatever they use, tungsten or whatever now. My favorite, which is what I call the brown foxy. This one caught more perch than you can shake a stick at, and it's a very basic, simple fly, and it did really well in the surf. These two actually are my nymphs. They have the small stuff in it. You can see the really small flies there for nymphing, and I have two boxes. I don't know why. I need to sort them out and put them all into one so that I don't get anything mixed up. But that's my nymphs. And then this one is really what I call my bass fishing kit. And you can see it has little poppers and everything. Yeah, for flies you have little poppers. You can see them in there, these ones here, and they work great for top water. You put them in, amongst the water lilies, and you just strip like crazy, and the bass go for them quicker than you can shake a stick. On the other side, I have what I call my woolly bugger selection. The nice thing about woolies is there's a lot of different kinds, different colors. They're all the same. I always use a bead head. I just like them better. I get better action out of them. And these things will catch anything. Probably my favorite, my very favorite fly. So this one here is a woolly bead head. Whoops, he says throwing it on the ground. Well, this is it here. Very basic, simple bead head. And the bass, for some reason, love this thing. Actually, just about anything do. It's got sparkle on it. It is an olive color, which I found to be the best. Either olive or black is what works for me. So those, this is the one I carry probably more often lately, especially in summer. I'm a catch and release guy. I don't really keep anything I catch. So a lot of my flies, I don't have any barbs on them, on barbless hooks, and I put everything back. Once in a while I'll keep a trout or something like that when I'm camping and come back and cook it at the campsite. And that's another thing, of course. I've learned to tie flies, but I tend to go back to the basics. I don't tie any fancy flies, and I have found, I thought it would be cheaper. If you're making 200 or 300 flies, it turns out to be cheaper. If not, go buy it. The other thing you need, besides flies, obviously, is you need tippet and you need leaders. So I have a flashlight and I have nippers and things. I have some spare ones with me. One thing I always carry with me is a nail knot tire. It's the only way I can tie a nail knot, and that is to put my leaders onto my fly line, and that's what I use there. I have a couple of them, and there's always one in my pouches. There you have it. That's the basics of my fly fishing stuff. You know, there is stuff I have like I can't go past a fly shop without going in there and then buying something. I have about 6 of these. Why, I don't know. The other thing I do have is nail tying. How to. One thing about fly fishing, that's what you have to do. So there you have it, campers. That's my basics of fly fishing stuff that I have with me. I don't have a lot. I do have a fly tying outfit, and I was thinking about showing that to you, but I'm going to save that for another day. It's a kit that I have that I can use to tie my own flies. So there you have it, my fly fishing stuff. Got to get it all cleaned up. Doesn't matter if you're fly fishing or whatever else you're doing. You're a caster using bait, or whatever you use. Don't forget, keep it maintained, clean it up, clean your reels out, wash them out, grease them up, oil them, make sure they're ready for the new season. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, you know the story. And I'll see you again. We'll be out there testing some of this stuff out that I cleaned and prepared, and hopefully we'll catch some fish. Yeah, right. Just saying. Bye.